What's up, guys? It's your boy Connor, and today we're going to be talking about Othello by William Shakespeare. So, just a quick background on this is that it was written in 1604, and the events of the play take place during the Ottoman-Venetian War from 1570 to 1573 in Cyprus. And this little island has had a history of conflict starting from 4th century BC until this current day between Greek and Turkish people. This is also much like Israel and the Palestinians, and how there's a separation between the West Bank and the Gaza Strip from the rest of Israel. Here are some sources of inspiration for William Shakespeare. There's a short story called Ye Hecatomythi by Italian author Cinthio, written in 1565. And it's a short story about a Moor captain, much like Othello, that is deceived by another soldier into thinking his wife is having an affair. But of course, with William Shakespeare being William Shakespeare, he had to make this story extra spicy by including a Christians versus Muslims tension at the time. And this racism was generated from Italian and Venetian Christians against Turkish and African Muslims, and stereotypes towards Muslim followers, and that their evilness is what makes them have darker skin and a sign of impurity. Now, a quick rundown on the plot summary of Acts 1 and 2. Act 1 begins with Iago and his wealthy friend Rodrigo talking about their troubles and how Iago should have gotten the promotion to lieutenant, and instead it went to a younger Michael Cassio. And there are rumors that Othello is sleeping around with his wife Emilia. And Rodrigo is mad at Othello because Othello married Desdemona, which Rodrigo was in love with. So Iago shifts from a bad to good, from a good to bad character, and advises Rodrigo to go wake up Othello's father-in-law and then tell him what has happened. The thing is, Othello's father-in-law does not like Rodrigo, despite him being wealthy, and basically tells him to go away. But Rodrigo also says, "Hey, where's Desdemona? She's probably not there." And then he goes checks, and well, she's not there. So he rounds up an angry mob, and they go try to find Othello. But at this time, Iago sneaks away because he doesn't want to be connected to what Rodrigo just did. So the mob finds Othello at the Duke's palace. And Othello at this time is the general of the Venetian navy. And this is where he confronts Othello that he used witchcraft to get Desdemona to fall in love with him. But he says this is not true. She fell in love with me because of the stories I told her. And she eventually comes to his side and says, "Yeah, that is true." So the Duke dismissed this, and Othello gets sent to defend Cyprus from the oncoming Ottoman invasion. And then this begins Act 2 when they discover the Ottoman ships have been destroyed at sea when they go to Cyprus. In celebration, Iago purposely gets Cassio drunk, who challenges Rodrigo. And Othello comes and reprimands Cassio for his actions. Act 3 begins with Cassio asking Desdemona to help him get his title back. However, this is a trap set up by Iago to get Othello to see both of them together. So Iago tells Othello that Cassio and Desdemona are talking with each other, and he needs to go over there to see what this is about. But when Cassio sees Othello walking towards them, he leaves because he's not ready to tell Othello. He's not ready to confront Othello yet. So Iago, when he's alone with Othello, he starts creating seeds of doubt within him, saying that, "Oh, I shouldn't tell you, but maybe I should." But Cassio and Desdemona may be having an affair. But he blows them off, saying, "You don't have any evidence. I have faith in my wife." And later on, Desdemona comes to talk to Othello about Cassio's reinstatement. However, this gets him annoyed by what Iago told him, and he pushes her away, and in turn, she loses her handkerchief. And this handkerchief is very important as we go into the book. And Iago has his wife Emilia steal the handkerchief and give it to him so that Iago can put the handkerchief in Cassio's room. And then he gets the idea of setting up Cassio again by telling Othello, I'm going to get him to to spill the beans about him and Desdemona. And Othello agrees to this. And but Iago goes to Cassio and talks about Cassio's relation with Bianca, which is the one he's actually seeing at the time. And Cassio, being a ladies' man, he laughs and brags about what he did with Bianca the previous night. But Othello thinks he's talking about Desdemona, and he starts to get angry when he overhears this. And Bianca comes into the scene, and she gives back Desdemona's handkerchief to Cassio, which he found earlier in his room, and gave it to her. So Othello becomes very angry, and he vows to kill both Cassio and Desdemona. Act 5, or the final act, begins with Iago sending Rodrigo to kill Cassio because he tells him that Cassio is what's preventing him from getting with Desdemona. So Rodrigo goes to fight Cassio, but instead Cassio wounds Rodrigo, and Iago sees this and he wounds Cassio so that Cassio will cry for help, and when he is not looking, Iago kills Rodrigo so that Rodrigo doesn't expose him. And at the same time, Othello confronts his wife and he asks her why did she cheat, and she says that she hasn't cheated, but she knows that he's gonna kill her, and she pleads for her life, saying, "No, please give me until tomorrow, or at least give me 30 minutes." But angry Othello denies this and smothers her anyway. When Desdemona's maidservant Emilia discovers this, she exposes her husband Iago, and Iago denies at first, but he ultimately kills her in front of Othello. And then Othello goes to stab Iago, but non fatally. And this ends with Othello committing suicide and Iago being sent to prison to be tortured by Cassio. A key symbol we see in the play is the important handkerchief, and this handkerchief is Othello's gift to Desdemona as a vow to fidelity. So when he sees that Cassio has the handkerchief, it means that it breaks the vow of fidelity and instead gives that vow to Cassio. And it's strawberry embroidered, which is a symbol all in itself because strawberries are a symbol of love and perfection. Medieval stonemasons would add strawberry designs to churches and altars to let people know that this is a perfect place. In close reading, this is a quote by Iago. In following him, I follow but myself. Heaven is my judge, for not I for love and duty, but seeming so, for my peculiar end. For when my outward action doth demonstrate the native act and figure of my heart in compliment extern, 'tis not long after but I will wear my heart upon my sleeve for dost to peck at. I am not what I am. I want to draw careful attention to when he says, I am not what I am. This is the opposite of a famous biblical quote in Exodus chapter 3, verse 14, which says, I am what I am, when God spoke to Moses through the burning bush. So here we ultimately see in Act 1 the shift from good to evil, motivated purely by hate. He's become opposite of God. He's become the snake in the garden character that plants the seeds of doubt and deceit, like as we see in Paradise Lost. And we also see the growing of racism and jealousy in Act 1 that manifests itself later on in the book in the play. And of course, the obvious, racial stereotype, like being compared to a Barbary horse, which is a horse native to Africa, and then the use of witchcraft, which is racist because at the time witchcraft originated from Arab culture, especially in Egypt and Babylonia. And of course, many negative uses of the word black. And with jealousy, it's play on jealousy of other people. Um, Iago is jealous of Cassio, and I'm jealous of Othello, and it just goes on with people becoming jealous and insecure. And with Iago's character shift from separation of love and duty, he acts in his own self interest. He's no longer bound by his rank or his marriage, which is important when we read on. And for the second closed reading, this is a quote from Othello talking to Iago. I do believe it, and I ask your pardon. Will you, I pray, demand that demi-devil why he hath thus ensnared my soul and body? Demand me nothing. What you know, you know. From this time forth, I will never speak word. And for the second analysis, we learn that Iago does not gain anything from ruining Othello besides just acting on his revenge. And he doesn't care who suffers, he doesn't care about his wife, and he doesn't care about his friend, who he kills in the process to conceal his lies. And this goes back to Act 1 in that separation from love and duty. Iago makes a vow that he will not be chained down by anything that is essentially meaningless. And he also denies Othello the satisfaction of knowing the reason why for all the troubles and why he did all this. Iago the Puppet Master. Janet Adelman, journalist for the Oxford University Press, brings interesting analysis to the characters Iago and Othello. Othello famously begins not with Othello, but with Iago. Because usually in stories such as these, it always starts with the hero and his adventure. However, with starting with Iago, this sends a message to the audience that this is not where the hero saves the day. Rather, it's that the hero fails and is defeated by the villain. Just how we see in Don Quixote, for example, that it begins with the hero and the hero is successful in his goal. Well, kind of. And another quote, we are made to understand Othello not as the natural embodiment of Iago's old black ram gone insanely jealous, but as the victim of racist ideology everywhere visible in Venice, an ideology to which he is relentlessly subjected and increasingly comes to define him as he internalizes it. And we see in the play that Iago mentions the green-eyed monster of jealousy, which manifested from Othello's own insecurity about his race. It only gets worse until a point that he kills himself in order to die as a general and not a criminal, and wants to break away from the stereotype. In conclusion, a key takeaway is another quote from Iago, which reads, Virtue a fig. 'Tis in ourselves that we are thus or thus. Our bodies are our gardens, to which our wills are gardeners. Meaning, it is up to us to control our lives, not beliefs or love, but rather what you do with your life is ultimately how you'll end up. And that brings this presentation to an end. Thank you so much for listening. This is my scholarly reference, and I hope you all stay safe.